Hi, I'm Gillian and welcome to the show. I offer spiritual growth for the rebel soul, guiding you through the labyrinth of your own ascension path. This show is for the rebel souls that challenge the status quo, those that crave authenticity in every single aspect of their lives, that desire to embrace their uniqueness, follow their passions, connect to their soul, and live according to who they truly are, even if that means having the courage to go against the grain or the norms of society. If that's you, my spiritual soul seeker, rebel warrior, then this is the place for you. On this podcast, we speak about everything from spirituality, sexuality, conscious relationships, business, and literally everything in between. So if that's your jam, then stay tuned. And go on, be a rebel and subscribe. You know you want to. Have you ever asked yourself, am I psychic? Because things keep happening that don't just feel like a coincidence. Like, you know you're intuitive, right? But calling yourself psychic is a whole other ballgame. And like, you kind of almost think that you need to be more in order to call yourself psychic. And just because you're intuitive doesn't automatically mean you're a fucking psychic. Well, let me tell you, my friend, that you are psychic. You have psychic gifts. You know, the intuition that you have, when it is trained, when it is activated, and when it's given structure, yes, you absolutely can call yourself a psychic because, well, you are. And the way that you're working with your intuition right now hasn't been something that you've had to develop per se. It's just there, isn't it? Like, it doesn't feel like it's a new skill that you've had to learn. Your intuition is just there. It just feels like muscle memory. Like you've done this before. Like you've worked with your intuition before. Because today, I want to talk about how past life gifts, how our intuition actually shows up in everyday life, and why so many spiritually awake people are actually remembering who they were before this lifetime right now. And I'm going to share a vision that I had very recently as I was getting ready to go to sleep that was indeed from a past life. And this vision came to me because it really clarified my role as a spiritual teacher, how I work, and why my life and my business are actually shifting right now. So, okay, the vision. So the other night when I literally closed my eyes to go to bed, I had this spontaneous vision just pop into my mind's eye out of nowhere, where I saw myself diving into the waters of Lemuria. So for context, if you haven't heard of Lemuria before, it's an ancient civilization that basically existed before Atlantis. You might have heard of Atlantis before as well. Long before any kind of recorded history. And Lemuria was a world that worked very much with nature, very much with crystal energies. It was a very high vibrational consciousness where everything ran on intuition, everything ran on energy. It was basically the norm of how everyone lived, everyone loved, everyone communicated. It was a very peaceful and harmonious existence. And the people were so connected to Mother Earth. They were so connected to nature, the land, the elements. That was the high vibrational energy that this civilization embodied, let's say. So, and if you want to go check it out, there's so many things that you can Google on Lemuria. So go down a rabbit hole. So in this vision, I was in this beautiful body of water. I was in it was like a lake or a sea, and a bunch of these amazing sea creatures literally swam up to me and surrounded me in a circle. Now there was a whale, a dolphin, a shark, an eel, a turtle, and I believe a stingray too, I think, from what I remember. And honestly, being surrounded in this circle, like I was in the middle of them, and being surrounded by these sea creatures, it felt like in my body, it just felt so amazingly beautiful. And then one of them, I think it was a dolphin, You know how dolphins swim, upside down? You know how they can swim like on their backs? So basically, I ended up being belly to belly with this dolphin, and it swam and it carried me on its belly through the ocean. And while that was happening, and again, I was being surrounded by these other sea creatures, like they all came to surround me for a reason. And while all of that was happening, I became aware that I was connecting to, it's like I was moving my hands and moving my arms and working with energy to connect to the deepest layers of the water consciousness. Like I was connecting to the energy of every molecule, every cell in the water. Like I was tapping into like the whole energetic memory that was held in the water itself. And then I saw an energy moving all the way up into like the highest sky, up into source, up into creation, and then back down again into like deep into the ocean. And in that moment, I knew that I was responsible for working with the water, working with the energy of the water to clear any density on the planet, in our civilization, in our world. And I was using it as energy to stabilize the frequency of our planet and lighten the collective weight. Like I knew in this vision that was my job. And then I saw myself with my hands and my arms. I kind of created some kind of force field around Lemuria. Like it was iridescent, like rainbow-like. You know, if you like have those bubble things, like when you blow bubbles as you're a kid, and you get that kind of like pearlescent, rainbow, shimmery, see-through kind of vibe in each bubble. It was basically like that. And this was a force field. Like this sphere I'd created around the place it was both a protection and a boundary. And I knew that. And this vision was one of my past life roles that was coming back into my consciousness for me to remember for a specific reason. Now, if you don't know, I work a lot with past lifetimes, so I've seen hundreds of mine on this planet, on other planets, in different realities, in different dimensions, and I love exploring them for my clients as well. So when this whole vision and this scene started playing out in my awareness, just as I was about to, literally I just put my head on the pillow and closed my eyes, I was like, okay, cool, let's go with it, let's see what's here, it's coming up for a reason, what are you trying to tell me? And then I realized that in this vision, it was initiation into a role that I've played before in a lifetime in Lemuria. It was me in this current lifetime now, me stepping into my next phase, my next initiation, my next identity with my work, with my spiritual work, with my soul work, and with my business. And it was almost like acting as a mirror to say, hey, remember, you've done this before. You have held big containers. You have held protection and boundary for big, like collective, for the earth, for stabilizing the planet. You have done this work before, where I was able to hold these big energetic containers, where I was able to stabilize the psychic field, the emotional field for, all of the collective of people that lived in Lemuria. And where I was so connected to my intuition, to my energetic gifts, that I could hold and create and manipulate energy to create like a whole force field, like to protect spaces, to work with nature, so that people in my world, in my civilization, were empowered, were strong, were safe, were protected, and were vibrating at a higher frequency, a higher level of consciousness, a level of lightness that really embodied our world and our planet. And like, that was my job. That was my entire role in that lifetime. And it was so beautiful to like experience that and witness that again. I actually kind of felt, in that vision, I felt so high vibrational. I felt so light. Like I felt so powerful, knowing that I had the capabilities and the power and the lightness to emit and hold this huge frequency that didn't just create, but could manifest and could just hold anything. In this case, obviously my civilization, my world, my people. But it was really amazing to witness that and even just me stepping in that vision, I could feel myself. I could feel how I felt. I could feel the vibration. I could feel the support by these sea animals. I could feel the support by the earth, by the sea itself. And it was just, it was a beautiful remembrance. And then as I tuned in further, because every lifetime that I've ever experienced is for a reason. Our past lives just don't fucking show up out of the blue to show us how cool we once were. Oh, cool, I was a knight, or I was a princess, or I was a warrior. Whilst that there's messages in that, they come, and the way that I use them is for a deeper reason. It's for deeper messages about our path, about our clarity, to give us clarity about our skills, our abilities, our challenges, our talents, our blocks, our destiny, our purpose. Tapping into our past lives can reveal so much about ourselves that is going to help our soul grow and our soul evolution in our current lifetime right now. So I was like, okay, what does this mean for me now? And I realized that each of these sea creatures represented something for me today, like right now. So I tapped into it and I was like, okay, the shark. So usually for me, a shark would represent fear, right? But in this vision, I felt no fear towards it. We're working together and I wasn't afraid of him, which, is unusual because I kind of am a bit afraid of sharks. And when I tapped into that and I was like, okay, what's the deeper meaning of this? It made so much sense because my spiritual growth journey of where I am now, and I'm stepping into holding bigger containers of transformation in my work, in my programs, in my offerings. And that's the next step for me. That's my next identity jump as I step more fully into the teacher archetype. And what maybe would have terrified me in doing such a huge leap of, my evolution and my work and, stepping out of the familiar ways of working into new ways of working, maybe would have even terrified me a little bit like a year ago. I realized that this fear no longer had a hold on me like it has in the past. No longer, when I've gone through huge transformations that is asking me to let go of everything that I've known, all the familiar things, and not fully knowing the outcome of what's to come, there's been fear there, which is such a natural response for all of us moving through identity shifts and transformations. So it made so much sense why the fear was represented by the shark. And how it no longer had this hold over me, because I am now in full trust with my soul plan, what I'm here for, how I'm meant to serve, who I'm meant to help. And I'm able to do that because I'm so connected to my spirit guides, to channeling information, to channeling answers, to tap into higher frequencies, to tap into higher realities, higher timelines for myself, that I'm able to trust and surrender to the unknown. And just because I'm psychic and I get a lot of wisdom and information about my path and decisions and timings and when I should do this and why I should hold off and what this means and where I'm growing and where I'm still blocked, what I need to clear, even though I get so much clarity around that because of my gifts and because I've honed them, there's still stuff that I am not told, because we can't be told everything about our path, because we have free will and we can change at any given moment. So there's still parts of my journey where I still don't know exactly what the outcome is going to be, but it's like I have to go through them like everyone else. I have to go through these periods of uncertainty and growth and change, because that's how we evolve. Like that's the whole point of what we're here for. And so the shark really represented that for me, and it really showed me where I have transcended fear that once had such a hold over me on doing certain things, and I can definitely say I have taken so many huge risks in my life where a lot of people would never even think to do that, where I've traveled all around the world. I left my very successful career in London and moved back over to Australia with no contacts, nothing, to set up my previous recruitment business, my digital media marketing and technology recruitment business. Granted, it was a bit naive, and launched that and created that, built that for 7.5 years to 7 figures. I then stepped out of that perceived safety into, going, okay, I know I meant to do something with my spiritual and healing gift. Don't know what that is right now, but I know I can't be in this. I can't be here. I can't still be in my business that I'd created I know I need to leave. And I stepped out of that, not knowing where the perceived safety was going to come from. So I've taken so many huge, brave leaps in all areas of my life. And the only reason I've been able to do that and grow so much is because of my unwavering connection to spirit, my ability to channel, and my trust that I'm going to be looked after. And that I have the ability to get clarity on what that looks like. Because clarity is the thing, right? So that's what the shark represented. And then the dolphin represented joy and pleasure and love and fun and lightness. And I realized that is also a key part of this next phase of my soul work. That it has to be fun. That it has to be light. It has to bring me fucking joy. You know, and sometimes when we own a business, and I've owned 2 businesses now. When we own a business, we get so stuck in the to-dos and the scarcity and the things that don't light us up about running a business. And you have to be a multifaceted person to be an entrepreneur. You really do. You have to be able to do everything. Or when we get stuck so deep in our spiritual work, we can kind of get a bit serious, right? We can kind of get stuck in the mundane and we forget to have fun. And the dolphin was really reminding me that joy, love, and fun, are some of the highest frequencies on this planet that we get to tap into. We have the privilege to feel every single day. And from that space, from being in that frequency, from being in those energies, we can create whatever we want from those spaces. And that is the state that I strive to be in all the time, as much as I can. And I think my clients can probably testify to this, that I love to have fun. I love to be silly. I love to laugh. I love to have a good time in my work. And obviously with this work and the things that I do, we go deep into the heaviness of it all. We go, I support people through trauma, through pain and suffering. So we go deep into this work, but and deeper into places that most people will never ever go to. But what the dolphin was saying to me is like, we need to have balance. It has to involve fun. Otherwise, what's the fucking point? I didn't come here to create a life or business that I feel stuck or heavy in. I did that already, and this is the difference between creating 3D business and 5D business. We get to choose in any given moment how we operate, what energy we sit in, what frequency we operate in, and that's then what will create our reality. So I came to this world to bring lightness, to bring joy to all that I do and everyone that I'm here to touch. And that's really what the dolphin was reminding me of. And then we have the whale. So the whale represented deep, ancient wisdom, depth. Oh my God, the whale energy is just palpable. And what that was saying to me was like, this is a skill that I possess. And the capacity to sit with someone in grief, in fear, in uncertainty, to hold space, to hold silence, to support them with my channeled wisdom, with the ancient things that I can bring through for them, the strength and the support that I can offer people. That ability to see patterns across lifetimes, timelines, not just current moments. And the whale really reminded me of all these gifts that I have and in fact have worked with and mastered many, many lifetimes ago too. And then we have the eel. And the eel really represented my nervous system sensitivity. Imagine getting zapped by an eel. And there's also like a bit of fear or a bit of apprehension, with like the symbology of an eel, right? Because an eel can come and like zap you and electrocute you at any point, right? So the undercurrent was like, oh my God, will this hurt me? But in this vision, I knew I was safe with him in this circle. I knew that he was there to support me and show up for me, and he wasn't there to hurt me. And this was really representing how sensitive that I am, and how I have been so afraid in the past of my sensitivity hurting me, of because I'm such a deep feeler, I feel everything so deeply and intensely that I have been hurt in the past because of how sensitive I am. But the eel was showing me in his like stance of solidarity that like I don't need to be afraid. I'm not going to get hurt because I'm so sensitive. And it really showed me how I now embody that, right? Like how I embody this evolution of this gift that I have, because being so fucking sensitive to the subtlest, smallest shifts in energy, that is one of my biggest gifts. It allows me to feel things that aren't there, that people can't see, that people don't know or notice. I can feel changes, I can feel blocks, I can feel information, I can feel data in the energy field. I can feel it all. I can feel all these shifts. You know, this gift of like being so sensitive to energy and trusting the subtleties of energy shift has helped me to know when to pause, to know when to pull back, when to rest, when to move forward with something, you know, in my business, when to drop an offer, when to wait, when to build something out, when to, put this thing out, when to, all of these things have helped me, because sometimes we just go, and we're not in tune with the energy and the shifts and what it's asking of us, that we go to a point of burnout. So this eel was really helping me remember that I firstly don't have to be afraid of how sensitive I am. Not that I am anymore, but it's almost this just reminder of like, oh my God, how far I've come. Because I used to be very, very fucking terrified and try and protect myself from receiving any kind of energy, because the likelihood of me getting hurt was pretty big. But this is a gift. This is a gift that I've worked with, my ability to feel things so deeply at the minutest scale, the things that are hidden. I'm so clairsentient. This is a big gift of mine. And it was just reminding me that like this is a fucking huge gift that I have to help people and to help myself to make choices, make decisions from how I feel, to be able to feel between the hidden realms, between the veils, to tap into energy and patterns through my feelings, through my sensations, through my body. And now, obviously, I honor those feelings. And the eel really helped me remember that. And then we have the turtle. And the turtle reminded me of sustainability. Going slow. Slow and steady wins the race, if you guys know what that is. Or where that's from. And how I didn't need to keep pushing, keep rushing the process. Because what I was building, and this is specifically with my soul work and my business, to give you guys context of, this is the transition that I'm working through right now, is because I'm building something that lasts. So things that are meant to last are meant to be built on strong foundations. And, we often rush into making decisions or making something happen out of fear or a perceived necessity, like putting out an offer because money is tight, or taking a job because you've just quit your other one. It's like we're always in a rush. And one thing that I've learned over the last few years for sure is that good things do come to those who wait, who trust, who surrender, and who work with divine timing, because there are bigger things happening, integration that needs to happen before you can step into your next phase of identity. And really, that's what the turtle was reminding me about. It's like choosing long-term alignment over short-term fear or adrenaline or perceived safety or bursts of income. And this is maybe one of the hardest things for you if you're on your spiritual journey, if you're in transition or you're building a spiritual business, whatever that is how to choose trust and alignment over fear or scarcity, or just old programs of doing. And I get it, because I've been there many, many times. But that's the beauty of the gifts that I was given in this vision. It was the reminder that it's all okay. Look at the gifts that I have. Look at the gifts that I've worked with. Look at the roles that I've had. Look at the challenges that I've overcome. Look at what I am here to embody now by me just tapping into the vision and the frequency and the energy of what was shown to me. Because again, all of these are key to my next phase of evolution, to my continued spiritual success, to the growth of my business, to the growth of my soul work. And the reminder was like, none of those needed to be removed. They just needed to be remembered, and they needed to be integrated. And seeing this vision really helped me stand strong and steady in my next phase, because it's kind of like I'm at this I always call it like a waiting room, right? It's like this waiting room before the next phase, the next timeline, the next evolution of my growth takes place and happens, and you're kind of in the waiting room waiting for that to happen, right? Where it feels like nothing's happening, but everything is happening at the same time. So where the vision gets even more practical for me, because if you know anything about me, I have a lot of Virgo placements in my chart. So making spiritual practical and tangible is literally what I am here for. Like, it's all good to get past life visions, but I'm all about interpreting them and the deeper meanings and how this helps me or how this helps my clients, how that's relevant right now in this life, how that's going to help me or them, how it can we can take actionable steps towards our growth or towards our goals from them. So this is where it got even more practical, and how this vision really spoke to the phase that I'm in right now. Because, again, like I said, I'm going through this growth spurt, this evolution with my work, how I'm meant to serve, who I'm meant to serve, and my offerings changing from my one-on-one coaching more to really focusing on the group containers, and specifically the Rebel Psychic School, which is like my signature program, which I'm about to go into relaunch again, and the archetypes that I'm moving from, I'm moving from the healer, psychic, teacher straddled archetype into the teacher archetype. Like, I've probably been straddling all of those three for like the last year now, but Spirit's like, okay, time to hold bigger containers, time to hold and expand a frequency for your offers, specifically the Rebel Psychic School, that you haven't held before. Just like I did in that Lemurian lifetime, the responsibility for me holding that container was huge. It was for the whole civilization. And that's what it reminded me of. It's like, I can absolutely do that. I'm expanding my capacity, expanding my frequency to hold more for the right people, for a higher level of advanced consciousness of person is what this next phase, this next launch, this next offer is for. And this is what happens when we expand into our next level, right? The next level of our identity, whatever that is for you personally. So again, for me, it's that my one-on-one clients, my coaching, they're naturally completing cycles at this time. So what that means is like my calendar has more space, which is helping me prepare for the relaunch of the Rebel Psychic School, because this launch is bigger and better and more transformative than it's ever been before. I've added so much to it. I've lengthened it to 9 months of a practitioner training, and it's holding so much more, right? My capacity, my commitment is going to be so much more in the container that I've created than my previous incarnations of them, let's say. But with any transition, anytime anyone goes through transition, things are going to come up for you, right? Fear, it might be that you're jumping identities, that might be you're leaping into higher timelines, it might be that you've left a toxic job or relationship, but you're in that between stage, you're scared to be alone, or you're scared you're not going to get another job, right? It might be that you're ready to launch your own spiritual or soul-led business, and you're in that between stage of like, you're scared people aren't going to resonate, or you're scared you're not going to make money by doing what you love. You might be like me, a seasoned practitioner who's the in-between a new timeline and letting go of the old offers and the old way of working. Like, that's naturally coming to a close for me, which again, this is going to happen when you have a business. These are things that will be very prevalent as you evolve, as your energy evolves, and as your offers evolve. It has to. Like, we are not here to have a business that stays the same. Like, where's the growth? Where's the evolution? And, you might be expanding into something more, but sometimes before the expansion, there's a drop, and that could be in revenue, that could be a period of quietness, that could be a period where, you know, you're not getting clients in. Like, this is so normal when we go into the next part of our expansion. And this is a space I work in so much. Like, so many of my clients are in transitionary periods. Like, seems to be a bit of a specialist theme for me. And this is the place where you could easily and very easily get triggered into fear about the unknown, fear about money, fear about what's falling away, fear about the familiarity, the perceived safety that you knew. You know, and that fear, unfortunately, can lead you, the shark, remember, it can lead you to, without you trusting your intuition, without you having that connection to spirit, it can lead you to doing things like checking your bank accounts all the time, pushing out offers way too fast before they're energetically ready, saying yes to things when your body's saying no, taking a job that you hate, again, repeating the same cycles, you know, instead of waiting for something more aligned, jumping straight into your next relationship before giving your time to like figure out who you are, or even worse, like if you've just left a relationship, getting back with an ex. All of these things, when you are not connected to your intuition and your psychic gifts and your spiritual knowledge and guidance that comes through, and you allow fear to take over in these transitionary spaces, can lead you to doing all these things. But when you're in full alignment, when you have direct answers, you are given the information that you need on how to work with energy. What's the bigger plan? If you're supposed to wait, if you're supposed to go, what's aligned for you, what's not aligned for you. And you can actually be in these transitionary spaces, this void space, or, you know, before you leap into the new, in the most aligned place that you can be. Because you can feel the stability underneath all of it, right? And for me right now, it's this juncture of my evolution in my work, right? I'm being guided into teaching and mentoring on a wider scale through the vessel that is the Rebel Psychic School. You know, not because I'm chasing growth per se, but just because my energy and what I was reminded from this past life, my role is built for holding big containers. It's built for holding groups, not just one-on-one individuals. And that's what seeing your past lives or seeing your past life gifts can really help you to do. You know, it really helps you to create the clarity and the trust, to trust the timing of things as you're stepping into something new. You know, it can help you see the bigger purpose and your bigger potential. It can help you remember the roles you've mastered and what you are here to step into now, even though you might not see everything else clearly, right? That's the power of being able to tap into your past lifetimes. You know, because we all have unique gifts. We all have unique roles that as a soul, we have agreed to before we incarnated. And you have worked with your gifts, your talents, your intuitive abilities, your psychic abilities, dare I say, before. In many, many lifetimes. You would not be here listening to this right now if you hadn't. You are psychic, you're meant to work with them, and they're meant to shape your life so you can live the most aligned, evolved life possible that is aligned to your soul plan. You cannot do that unless you open up your own intuitive channel, your own psychic gifts, and know how you're meant to work with them, know how you're meant to serve in your life and in the lives of others. You know, so the things that you're thinking are so easy for you right now, or just aren't psychic gifts, or just your natural intuition, you know, are your psychic gifts. You know, knowing that feeling that you get when you know you've got to leave a job before it all collapses, that's one of your psychic gifts, or that's your psychic gifts talking. That happened to me. You know, that moment that you feel the relationship shifting, maybe months before it ends, that's your psychic gifts talking. You know, when you can read in between the lines when you're having a conversation with someone, you can feel like what they're saying is not resonating with actually what's going on inside them or what they mean or their intentions. That's your psychic gifts. You know, when you get ideas that feel like they've just dropped in, that they've been downloaded, you know, like you're in the shower and you just get like all of these aha moments and solutions to shit. That's your psychic gifts. In your business, when you can feel like an offer is aligned, or when you feel that marketing is like, oh my God, that's so bang on point before you sell it, that's your psychic gifts. When you know when to pause, when you know when to push, that's your psychic gifts. In your relationships, when you can navigate, when you feel the moods, you feel the emotional current of other people, and you can hold and stabilize like the presence and the energy around you, that's your psychic gifts. And these are all gifts, these are all skills you've used before in many, many lifetimes. And this is why in module 1 of the Rebel Psychic School, this is like the first thing that I actually teach and take people through, because it's all about remembering, and it's about remembering your past life roles, your past life gifts, how you're meant to work with them in this lifetime, how you're meant to share them. We also in that module dive into your ancestral patterns, what gifts you carry from your DNA and your family line, because we also inherit gifts from our family line. We inherit a lot of things from our family, but we also inherit their gifts. And being able to understand and remember how you've used these, what gifts you've mastered in other lifetimes, for me, I realize is the absolute gateway that opens up your gifts in this lifetime. That's why this work is so friggin' powerful, and working with past lives is so powerful. And this is why this vision that I had is so powerful. Whether you're opening up your gifts, whether you want to master them, whether you're opening up your spiritual business, whether you're getting paid for them, or whether you're like me and you're just going to your next phase of evolution with your spiritual gifts in your business, it doesn't matter, right? It's all the same thing. And we can use our past lifetimes to support us in this growth. So if you've been like in a space where you've been asking, okay, what are these things that keep happening to me, or these visions or these feelings? They just feel so familiar. Are these past lifetimes that I'm seeing? What are my gifts and how am I meant to use them? Like, I know I'm intuitive, I know I'm gifted, but I don't trust them. I don't fully know what I'm here for. I don't know how to interpret them. They're inconsistent. I know that I feel my guides around me, but I really want to have a two-way channel conversation, just like I'm giving my friend advice. I want that. Why am I being pulled into teaching or guiding other people? Why does my life feel quiet right now, but I'm being asked to step into more? Like, I know I'm being asked to step into more. It's because your gifts are waking up. Your soul's going, hey, time to put some structure, time to remember why you came here. Remember your bigger soul purpose. And the only way you can do that is by accessing your psychic gifts, by opening your channeling abilities, by remembering who the fuck you were and why you've come here. You need structure, you need a proven method, and you need to be able to expand your identity to create that life, that success, that desire, that soul plan that you want. And if you're ready to explore that and learn to read so many different things, advanced things from past lives, from lifetimes, to people, to energy, to objects, to passed on loved ones, to channeling higher dimensions, spirit guides, your whole team in spirit. Oh my God, so many more things that we go into in the Rebel Psychic School when you learn to master your own unique psychic, mediumship, and channeling abilities, so that you can read for yourself, for others, so that you can have the guidance that you need for your life, your relationships, your business, so you know what the next step is in your business, so you know when you need to open up your business, when you know when you need to step away from that relationship, when you know what is aligned for you, even though it doesn't make logical sense. You are able to do that in this mentorship program, because you don't need to become psychic. You just need to remember that you already are. So if you've enjoyed this, I would love a follow. If you want to give me a review, I would love that. And all the information of how you can join the Rebel Psychic School is below in the show notes. I am sending you so much love. Until the next time.